Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it all rated for mature or,
Okay.
rated R or whatever.
Because
So
I don't have the worst like potty mouth, but sometimes when I'm like talking and telling stories, I just drop the F bomb like way more often than I probably should.
yeah, no, honestly, I've done it and I thought about early on like whether or not I should keep it like PG or not. And I was like,
Right.
no. Me
Okay.
and everyone I know, it's gonna slip in.
Yeah. Okay,
So
cool.
yeah, might as well just start it off. Yeah. Rated R, mature, if it happens, it happens. So
Very good.
yeah. So cool. Let me get I don't know if Brittany's told you, but I am quite a nerd, so I do have a colorful keyboard.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, but not the best look for podcasting. So I'll try to do that. But
Green. That's funny. Well, I guess for
yeah,
podcasting, it doesn't matter.
yeah. I was gonna try and do like a YouTube off it as well. So
Oh, cool. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm just you can see I've got like one video from my phone and then the audio from my computer. So I have like two different pieces,
Dude,
but
that's
so
cool.
yeah, cool. So we'll kick it off. So hi, this is Alex from the Millennial Entrepreneur. I've got my friend Julia here from Relentless Results. I'll restart that, Julia. um, hi, this is Alex from the Millennial Entrepreneur. I'm here with my friend Julia from Relentless Results, and thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you do lifestyle coaching and you do it all online. If you could just take me through how you got started, maybe how a customer's journey through your program is, or just your company kind of from start to finish.
Sure. So as far as when I got started, officially, I launched my company and my program in July this past year. Unofficially, prior to that, though, I had been coaching just mostly some friends or people that had kind of just reached out to me and asked for training when I decided to get my personal training certification. So I had been coaching some people since like maybe January of 2020.
Okay.
It was very few people though, but started coaching. The official launch of my program was in July. And from there, it's just taken off a lot faster than I expected it to. But as far as like how the process goes, how, I get clients, how clients come to me, initially it was a lot of people that knew me from my hometown. I'm from a very small town in Ohio. So a lot of people, they knew of me or they knew me. They maybe watched my fitness journey over the past couple of years. I've tried a couple different things. And so at first it was just like, couple people that I went to high school with, friends of friends from home. And then it's like, as I've grown, it's, now it's like I'm coaching people from all over the US and it's actually really
Wow,
cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is really cool. But most people, they just reach out to me. They either, personally message me on Instagram or I do have like an application on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Once they apply with me, I have everyone get on a phone call with me and we just kind of talk about where they are in their journey, things they've tried, things they have, that have worked for them, that haven't worked for
Mm-hmm.
them. And then, if I feel like I would be a good coach for them, if I feel like we have good, chemistry, I take them on as a client if they want to move forward with coaching. But I have had people I've had to refer to other people just because they had health issues or because their goals were different than what my program is, just to
Yeah.
make sure they're getting the correct coaching they need and it's not wasting my time or their time.
Yeah, that's a very honest review, that you're not willing to take just anybody just for the money. You really want to grow them as a person and your skills and their needs kind of match together. Um,
It's, and it's also like me making sure that I'm practicing within my scope, like
yeah.
I am not a dietitian. So, if somebody came to me and they had, certain medical history, illnesses, anything like that, there are certain things that, your diet could truly, help your health in that point. And for me, that would not be where I could serve them. I can give them education on, macro counting. I can teach them how to, look at the quality of their foods and those kinds of things. But if they need like specific, meal requirements, if they need specific, treatment, or if they're on certain medications, again, it's not within my scope to take them on. And it would not be right for me to do so just to, have another client.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you build a lot more organic growth that way, when you have customers that come to you and maybe they pay you for 3 to 6 months and they don't have the best results from it, maybe it may not be the best situation for a long-term brand, which it sounds like something you're trying to build.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's my thing too, is when when I'm screening clients and when I'm getting on these calls, because you're right. Like I don't want to work with somebody that's not going to, go all in on the process, because that's a reflection, like their results are a reflection of me and my company then at that point. And additionally, the thing is too, like, if our personalities don't mesh well, or I don't think that, my style of coaching is going to help you, then you need to find something that's going to help you, because otherwise you sign up for my program, you go through it with me, and you just end up more discouraged because you tried something else that failed. You know what I mean? I keep my clientele, I keep my roster pretty small so that I can, be available to everybody and make sure that everyone's journey and everyone's process is individualized and it's at their pace. But it is hard to make sure that, again, you're not fixated on just like trying to get more clients. You're actually doing it for the reason that you initially got into it, meaning that I want to help people change lives. Like when I have client check-ins and when I get to do, their weekly check-ins, and I see people's progress from, 12, 18, 20 weeks with me, like I get so excited. Like I've cried on check-ins before. I get goosebumps all the time because it's like, I really do want to help people. So, and I take it very personally if somebody is in the program and they're having issues, or they're, maybe feeling like they're failing or feeling like it's not working for them. I take it very personally. So it's kind of, I have to protect people, like other people from, coming to me if we're not going to be a good match, but also protect myself too, because this is my baby, this is something that I'm, putting my heart and soul into. So I have to kind of protect both those energies.
Yeah, it's a great look between maybe a corporate view and the organic founder CEO type, where
Right.
you're really, every sale that comes through the door, every person that comes through the door, that's an experience with them.
Yes.
And it's not more so just high turnover and high cash flow. It's more so the organic side. And I see a lot of value in brands that take the organic view. If you don't have 10 million to start a huge, lifestyle coaching brand, then, you could try and shortchange it where you don't have the capital to do it, or you try what you're trying, which I think is a really cool way to do it, where everyone you talk to, it's their experience and you really make them feel good through the journey. And
Yeah. I really, and it's kind of funny. So I was talking to somebody the other day and I had this realization, like, I don't know if you're familiar with like love languages at all. Like
yeah.
yeah. Okay. So for me, like words of affirmation is like the bottom of my list. That is not it's not how I give or receive love. But I've noticed that as I've developed my program, as I've developed my company, as I've developed relationships with my clients, like I really lean into, my words of affirmation, because, these people are coming to me from a very vulnerable position. They have to send me pictures every week in their, underwear. They have to document their weight. They have to document things that they eat, that kind of stuff. So it's like, they're coming to me from a very vulnerable position. And I really have to, I've noticed that I've like really leaned into my words of affirmation, which again was not my strong suit, but it's becoming one. And I really love it. I'm realizing how much I love like being that energy for these people, being the one that they come to when they need like a hype up session, being the one that they feel comfortable telling me, things that are happening or things that they're processing or why it is they felt off this week. I've really kind of enjoyed that. And when you said like talked about like organic growth and organic content, like that's very much something that I didn't realize I was doing a lot of. But like within the past year or so, it's been crazy the amount of like great feedback I've gotten from people just when I like show up on, my Instagram or show up in a post and I talk about things that, I'm not super comfortable talking about, but I know that
Yeah.
everyone else is dealing with. So it's been a very interesting journey for me, kind of as it's grown. But
Yeah, to go to the personality traits, I was taught at a young age that certain people have certain languages, like you're talking about love languages. In
Mhm.
my side, I have growing up like more of a corporate background, maybe like my parents were more building companies and working with employees and hire fire situations. And they taught me that you could take one situation that could be a point of conflict in business. That's normally like the issue, but a point of conflict where there's an issue with something that happened or an employee or staff, and you can say there's two different ways. I feel like is a person who likes words of affirmation, things that you're talking about, like more of an emotional person where I need to address you as a person. If you say things like, I feel like, or I want to, you're a person that wants to be addressed directly. If you're a person that's more on the analytical side that says this is a certain way or this is how it happened, they take, they're more likely to be affected by their work. So if you said, you know, you look really good or you have been doing a really good job with your workouts or training versus your results or maybe the weight, maybe how much you've lifted or maybe you keeping up with your piece, like more so the analytical based more versus like the feeling based. And that's
Mhm.
helped me a lot because I've talked to an employee where I said things like, you are doing really well, and they just kind of blankly looked at me. I was like, okay, well, I guess this person is more like an I feel, or
Yes.
like maybe an analytical person, not an I feel. So now I need to say, your work has been going really well. And now they have a sense of pride. And
Yep.
it's so funny how those two different, my purpose or my point is the exact same, but the way they digest it and take it in is totally different.
Absolutely. And that's something that, it's everyone's obviously it's independently driven, right? Everybody has different needs. So that's something that as, being a fitness coach, like it's amazing that I can coach people I'm living in Houston, Texas now. I can coach people in California and Florida and Pennsylvania. But the problem is obviously like I'm not right in front of them, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm not, I meet them on our call. They can always set up calls with me if they want to, but the only interaction they get with me outside of like text messages and stuff is the weekly check-ins that they do with me, which I do
Mhm.
my check-ins on a video, so that they can see me and so I can give, they can see my energy
That's
kind of.
very important. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And when I transitioned to that, it's just been like just amazing feedback. And I love doing it because I get to, give them a little bit of my personality. They know that I'm spending that undivided like time and attention on them,
Mhm.
doing their check-in and everything. But it's been cool to see like the feedback and how much better the feedback from check-ins and everything has been when I transitioned to that. But also it helps me to, once I get a feel for the person, it helps me to feed into however they need,
Mm.
they need their affirmation. Like some
It's because you
people,
can see their face at that point and their
right. Well,
reactions.
they don't send check-in. They don't send, like, we're not on a video call, but I take a video recording.
Oh,
And
okay.
I go through the whole check-in and everything on a video recording. So they just get that from me, but then they typically will respond with audio or text messages.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but what I have, like, I have a couple guys, I have a couple male clients that I coach, and it's like they need a different kind of love than some of my females, and some of my females, they need a different kind of love than the other ones that are, a couple years older, a couple years younger. It's been really cool, kind of like learning how to connect with all sorts of different kinds of people.
It's a very unique experience dealing with or working with people from any background, from any state, or maybe even any country. You really
Hmm.
need to build up your own personal, box of tools that you can use to meet any situation.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
And so to take a step back, how are you generating? I know your Instagram, you had mentioned was your strong piece, and you also have either the website or the form base that you have to
Mhm.
kind of bring them in. But how is your customer acquisition, or how are you reaching out to new people, or is it all Instagram based or verbal?
So it's changed a little bit, and I'm sure it'll change in the future. For one, I did not plan on this company taking off at the rate that it did. I planned on doing, my nursing contracts that I was doing and this as like kind of a side hustle, and it took off way faster than I anticipated it taking off. So when I first started, it was just like I was, a couple people, like everyone was coming to me. So then, I started when I decided to make the transition, I started to do a little bit more promotion. So I just do promotions on like Instagram, some Facebook, and stuff like that. But then really most of it is just like word of mouth too.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are coming to me now are people that either know somebody that I'm working with, or they know somebody that, I just competed in a bikini prep, competition and everything, which I know you learned probably some from Brittany.
I learned quite a bit. I have never been involved in that. That's very different culture shock.
Yeah, I know it is. But I've had a lot of people that were on the same prep team that I was on, that have like shared my post or, promoted something that I posted. And I've gotten a lot of people from like, it's kind of like the transfer of trust, it's like, okay, they have somebody following them that looks up to them. They're sharing my post about, being a nurse and balancing fitness and health and everything like that. And all of a sudden, now they trust me too, because they trust her kind of thing. It's that transfer of trust. So I've gotten a lot of from that, but I kind of had to slow down a little bit on my like direct, like chasing down people. Like I had started to, kind of try to build more, like go out and find more people like on Instagram and on Facebook and stuff. But I actually kind of had to reel that in and slow it down a little bit, because I was getting to the cap of what I felt like I could comfortably take as like just myself before I was going to have to hire out. And I really don't know that I'm at a position that I want to do that quite yet. So I kind of had to reel it in, but most of it is just like, it's just kind of word of mouth. People will be like, oh, your profile just popped up on my Discover page, and I followed you for a month or whatever. Like a lot of people now, like I said, are people that I've never met. I hope to meet someday. It'd be cool to meet some of my clients, but some people, that's like the crazy thing is like, I could coach you for, a year, and we can get you exactly where you want to be, and you can be happy and healthy, and maybe we never actually even meet in person.
That's the amazing part of technology.
It is. Yeah. But I have like considered doing like, ads and paid advertisement and stuff like that. But again, I'm kind of holding off on that at the moment. I'm happy with where, my company is right now. I obviously want to grow, right? But it's just for me right now, at least in this current season of life, being like the last like 2 months or so, it's been crazy busy for myself. So I kind of had to reel that in, but I'm thinking probably in 2021, I'll probably look into like some paid advertisement, some other marketing techniques, but mostly it's just been really organic, authentic connection.
So you'd mentioned that you were getting to your kind of cap as far as people working with you. Now, is that so you're founder CEO and you run everything in the company, right? Like you do all your financials, you do all the onboarding, you work with the company entity. So is it that you're at your cap from a training or coaching perspective, or are these other things getting in your way in a sense where you, like if you had other people to handle those, that you could focus and spearhead the rest of it and maybe grow it, or maybe even give those people a different type of attention that they need, or?
Right. So I actually have had an assistant that has helped me with some of like the back end, like onboard, like some of the onboarding stuff, some of the like referral tracking, program tracking, that kind of stuff. But I don't have like her doing a ton of stuff very consistently right now, because I've been able, I kind of have trouble with like giving up that, because I'm always somebody that I'm like, well, if I can do it, like, I'll just do it. Or if I feel like it's gonna be done better by myself, like, let me just do it. But when I brought her on and when I had her start, helping me like organize some of my spreadsheets and stuff, it was like, oh, wow, no, she's better at that. She's better at that. I don't know how to do that. She's better at that. And the purpose when I brought her on to kind of help me, she's a very close friend of mine. She's amazing. But the purpose was so that I could like hopefully expand my roster by like, it was about 10 more people is what I was hoping to be able to take on. And I was able to do that with her help and everything. But the thing is too, there are a lot of, there's obviously a lot of like back end things, back office stuff that does need addressed, right? But obviously like the meat and potatoes of this is the coaching. And I have a number in my head of the amount of clients that I feel like even if I'm dealing with all of the financials, legal, everything, I still have a number in my head that I'm like, I still just feel like the best way for me to give them a quality experience is to not be spreading myself too thin. Like I don't want to have a roster. I don't want to coach 100 people.
Yeah.
I don't like that. That's too many people to chase around. I don't feel like I would be able to give them a truly good individualized experience where they come out of it and they feel like they know me. They feel like they, have learned something that, they now, have a handle on what they need to do moving forward. I don't feel like even if I take off all of that other crap, I hate that. I hate all the back end stuff. It's all crap to me. But if I take out all of that, it's still like, for me, I'm kind of like, I just don't know that I would want to try to spread myself, any more thin with clients. So I've worked with quite a few different coaching business mentors, and that was like one of the things that we talked about as far as like, when do you need to bring an assistant on? When do you need to bring an assistant coach on? Those kinds of things. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm kind of a little bit reserved to do that just because I'm like, it's giving up like a little bit of my little baby.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. So in 2021, the goal is I do want to have or be in a position where I have a full-time assistant coach. I would love to get like a registered dietitian on staff with me, just because that would open up the amount and like the amount of people I'd be able to serve and the ability to better serve them. I have a lot of like big goals that I want to happen in 2021. I'm just going to keep saying them out loud because
if you say them enough, hopefully they'll be real. Yeah, looks like my thing froze. I don't know if you can hear me.
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, looks like it. Okay, maybe we're.
Uh-oh.
Not really sure. You can hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, my Zoom just like crashed, which is probably the first time that's ever happened.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, right? You're on a good roll there. That was.
Hopefully you got some of it.
Yeah, it should have saved at least. But so let's see. Gotta get back rocking here. So from your perspective, the back end side, and so just so you're familiar, I have the Millennial Entrepreneur, but I also have a Powered by Catalyst company that I'm starting. And the purpose of that is going to be, a catalyst is something that takes less energy and you can end up doing more with it.
Right.
So I'm talking to people that I know or people that own companies or things like that. And people don't like the back end side, just as you're mentioning. Like one of my friends runs a brand and, he's amazing at networking, amazing at creating clothing, amazing at pushing it. But like building a website or maybe even what an accountant or CPA would do, or even company structure, taxes, all those kinds of things are not interesting to him. And he also does not have the wages to hire a CPA. And even consulting with a CPA can be expensive. So one of the things I was wondering, and it's something that I haven't fully decided if I'm going to go that direction or not, but if you had access to a CPA that could give you could work your taxes out and deal with your financials in a certain way that could, I don't know if you're probably familiar with tax deductions and how all that can flow through, and essentially getting maybe 20-30% more of a dollar than you normally would. But would that be something you as a company, or you think anyone else in your industry or other business owners you've worked with that are a founder CEO type that's got a company that's 1 to 3 years old that is amazing at what they do, but this back end tedious stuff is difficult and it's confusing and it's not something that you want to spend your time doing?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And like, yeah, I mean, you said it correctly. Like my realm of genius is like, is my coaching, is my sales, is my, I have like all these ideas. I have so many ideas always flowing through my head. And I'm like, I just need help organizing everything. And everything. But yeah, so to answer your question though, about the, having somebody available that would, assist me in that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because for me, it drains my energy. It drains my energy so much to like put a chunk of my day, budget out a couple hours of my day to try to flip and sit down and figure out some sort of crap that I don't want to, it's like, I just can't, my brain does not work like that. I don't know if it's just some resistance that I need to get through or just some mental block I need to get through, but I just can't do it. So yes, absolutely. That would be something that would be very beneficial. Like having somebody just kind of like on hand and be like, hey, let me take this hat off of you and I'll put it on and I'll handle this stuff. You just do you.
No, that's what we do at work. So we, if we have something that we want to create or want to do, or in our situation, like a company to structure or a deal flow, we go talk to the CPA first. It's like we go through the creative development side. How does it make money? How does everything flow? And then you go through and you talk to, okay, here's my idea, CPA. How would you structure this so we can get the best tax deductions?
Right.
Or we can, I don't want to say avoid taxes, but we can keep all the money in house to where we're not paying exorbitant taxes that they're killing ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
So I've thought about it, and I don't know if the need is there, but paying like a CPA on retainer and just having certain people able to call them whenever and seeing how that would flow together. But it's kind of a side topic, but yeah.
No, actually, to bring that up though, there's actually, and I can like, email you this when we're done or whatever, but there's actually a company that is located here in Houston, Texas, that they've like kind of niched down and they specifically they help like online coaching, fitness coaches. And I got on a call with them to talk to them because I'm in search of a really, really great accountant I could use yesterday. But I got on a call with them, and that is kind of similar to what they offer, in terms of, depending on like the tier that you need or whatever. But that's what they do is they're all virtual. They have access to them 24/7, but I can kind of give you a little bit more context on that if you want me to.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested in the model that they're offering and how that's attractive to you. I was thinking of also adding in like web services or things like that, maybe even marketing, but.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no, that would be so beneficial if it was like kind of like a one-stop shop sort of thing, like.
Yeah, that would be the idea.
Like you got the coaching thing, you got, you can promote, you can do, X, Y, and Z, but here, let me handle all of this.
All the tedious stuff. And the benefit of it would be that it's clean, it's efficient, you get constant support, anything that you need. And, I've just wondered because there's so many, that's the point of the podcast. There's so many millennial entrepreneurs. There's so many people within our age band that are starting companies, or even with COVID, so many companies are shutting down, and millennials are looking around like, hey, no one is doing X. These people are falling in X industry. Now, maybe in 2 years, I can start a company and now I have market share. I don't have these companies from the baby boomers that are sitting around waiting to pick up business. I've got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok,
Mhm.
even where a boomer would almost never go, that a millennial will dive into.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
Well,
what you were talking about. Ads. One, I forget his name, and maybe I'll send it to you when I remember it. But the way he built his company was he was working in a family business selling wine, like a liquor store, and then he moved to selling wine online.
Gary V.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
actually,
It's
yes,
like,
there you
yeah.
go. You may already know this then, but his belief is that he was, trading stocks. So you trade stocks low and sell them high, and that's how you make your money. He took that concept, but put it into ads. So he would review like Facebook, the certain ads they have, the certain tiers, Instagram, the certain tiers they have, TikTok or Snapchat or any of these other ones. And he would look at a dollar per value basis. And he started realizing that he could trade on the low end of these ads before their prices went up, but he got so much benefit from it. So he was like, I'm 45 or whatever he is, and I'm on TikTok. And a lot of people may make fun of me for that, but I'm trading a low end stock that's going to give me a huge return.
Mm-hmm.
And as a business person, why not do that? Like, it's
Right.
not about me liking TikTok or not. That has nothing to do with it. It's a business platform.
Absolutely.
And so that would be you probably already knew some of that, but that would be my only suggestion that I try and give for people working in ads is like, don't trade when the stock's high, or don't trade when the ad's at its value or even above its value. Trade when it's low or new, because
Right.
you're going to get such a better worth per your dollar.
No, it really makes sense.
But
Totally.
yeah, so from your experience in dealing or working with your company from start till now, what were some of the biggest pillars that you had to get through, and some of the things that you even may have been a struggle for you that you tried to make your foundation? Like I think you mentioned before, the words for affirmation that you weren't generally doing before, but now it's kind of one of your pillars. If you
Mm-hmm.
can just walk me through from the start, any major difficulties that you found and worked through, and even maybe made one of your own pillars.
Yeah. Oh man, lots.
Yeah.
Really honestly though, like the biggest thing that I had to get through was like my what is it called, like imposter syndrome, like my
Mhm.
self-doubt, my like thinking that I couldn't do this because everybody else has done it and they've done it better, and there's no way I could compete. And that's like, that was for me the biggest like mindset thing that I had to get through, was like shifting out of like thinking that this is a competition, thinking that I have to like, I have to coach like anybody else, that I have to do this process like anybody else. I had to get kind of out of that mentality, and just start, and just freaking do it. And I was working with a coach that really helped at the time. Her name's Hannah, but she really helped kind of like coach me through that. But as far as like figuring out like processes and everything, I mean, you want to talk about a clusterfuck at the beginning, like an absolute clusterfuck. Like my first sales call, I remember it vividly, and I had no fucking clue what I was doing. I had like these notes and shit that I was like, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
follow the sales script, and I just like, I had to, and I've gone, like I said, I've gone through a lot of different coaching. I've been coached a lot on sales, and to be honest, like lots of sales tactics that people are telling me I need to use, I want to use, I don't use. Like I have found that I don't do hard closing. I'm a very like sales, like a connection based sales. Again, very authentic. I'm very real. I try to be very personal, and it's like, I don't try to make, the sales calls about the sale. I make it about getting to know this person, understanding them, figuring out if we would be a good match. That was kind of something I had to shift out of, was like going into the sale, like feeling like I had to close or like I had to sell anything, and transferring it over to, this is just a pure, like, 30 minutes out of my day that I'm just going to, I get to make a connection with somebody. I get to learn
Mhm.
a little bit about them. And, if we're going to be a great fit, perfect. So like changing my sales mentality has helped me a lot. tracking stuff, like tracking leads and everything like that. Again, massive, massive, massive clusterfuck. And my friend in VA who's helped me a lot with that has definitely helped organize that and everything like that. But the whole process of like how clients come in, how they inquire and then what they have to do to get on the phone with me. Like I had like 4 different things that I had them do before they ever got to a phone call with me at first, which is kind of, in some ways it can be smart because it obviously shows that they're invested in the process. They want to do this. But at the same time, it also kind of scares away some people that are a little bit timid, right? They're like, oh, I have to fill out this form and I have to, book this call and I have to do this X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it's a barrier to entry. Just makes
Yeah,
it
so
harder to get in. Yeah.
So I've simplified that down. So now it's like they inquire, we get on the phone, and then if we move forward with coaching, there's a lot more information that I need from them at that point. But like refining that process, refining like expectations for clients has been really big. It's kind of, again, like it's cool to be online and virtual. It's cool that they have access to me 24/7, but for me, myself, I can get very, very, very sucked into my work. I can like, and it's like you blink and all of a sudden you worked 12, 14, 16 hours and you've done that the last 5 days and it's Tuesdays, meaning you work through the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I get very affected. So I have had to be a lot better about building a structure, building a schedule, setting expectations for when you can expect responses from me. My timeline, their timeline. It's just, I've had to be a lot, figure out what's going to work for me and sort of set that into place. But I'm trying to think of what else, like refining my check-in process. Good. Oh my, actually, no, here, wait, this is a good one. There's so many things. When I initially started, I had been like I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like rewriting everybody's workouts for them every single week. Like I was completely rewriting their workouts, and it wasn't like I wasn't changing everything, but I was like changing like, accessory movements and stuff. And like, there is a benefit to that. As long as, you are following like a structured, strength cycle in terms of like the big movements. But that was like totally not time efficient at all. I was spending like seriously like 2 hours per client check-in. Like it was absolutely insane. So refining that and just, I don't know, it's like everything when I started, everything I feel like I've scrapped and restarted probably at least like 3 or 4 times.
That's the way it is in startups. It's, you kind of just, I think the term is, it used to be ready, aim, fire, and now it's just ready, shoot, ready, fire.
Seriously.
You don't have time to sit around and figure out kind of what's going on. You got to just take your shot.
Yeah. And I'm very much like, I do best like when, it's kind of like organized chaos. So I do best when there's like a lot of things, like I'm juggling a lot of balls at once. Like if it's kind of like a lull, like if it's kind of, and then like a little bit of a valley, like that's when I start to go crazy. Like I do way better if I'm juggling all these different things. So for me, like just the ready shoot thing totally works. Like, cause I'm like, I have to go for it. If I think about it too much, I'm going to overthink it and, I'm going to end up just never getting anywhere. So, definitely do best in that environment.
Yeah, you mentioned the time management piece, working 16, 20 hours a day, 5 days a week. How have you seen your, like, in my opinion, so if you work 1 hour, you get 1 hour of worth. But say you work 20 hours, do you get like 16 hours of worth? Or do you think you're able to maintain a full 16 or 20 hours of work a day and really keep your value up?
Well, to be honest, it's actually very hard to like separate. It's kind of hard for me to like separate like work time and like my, I don't know, like my just Julia time or whatever, because like a lot of it is on social media. A lot of it is, So it's like, for me, it's like, I never really thought of it this way, but it was one of my coaches that brought it up, because it was like, for me, I felt like, I'm on my phone, starting conversations in my Instagram DMs, talking about this, making some video with a home workout or whatever. And I feel like I'm just like wasting my time. But the reality is, like, no, that's how I'm actually building value. I am actually, working on my business and for my business at that point. So I didn't like realize, that was sort of when I realized how much time I was actually spending on it. Because before that, I was like beating myself up, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I worked from like, 8 to 6, but like, wow, how much did I actually get done? I was on my phone talking to all these people. And then I'm like, well, actually, no, like I was working that entire time. I wasn't just like being off, so it's been hard for me, but then, like I said, it just makes it's a lot harder for me to separate that stuff. Like, it's hard for me to, because my Instagram, again, is where most of my people come in. And like, yes, it is like, I am that fit nurse. Yes, I do post, fitness stuff, but it's also like, I have friends and family on there. I have people that, I don't want to get on there and feel like I'm working. So it's like, sometimes it's really hard for me to like turn off the Relentless Results brain and turn on the Julia, like just having fun kind of brain.
Yeah.
Because like, I have to like actually remind myself, like, no, you don't need to respond to that DM inquiry about training, tonight. It's 10:30 on a Friday night. Like, no, you do that in the morning when you are working, not now. So I've had a lot of, it's been very hard for me to separate those times and like kind of understand and process how I'm feeling about it too, because it's really weird. Because like I said, I'll sit down at the end of the day and I'll be like, wow, like I didn't get anything done. And I'm like, actually, no, I talked to 10 new people and I have, 5 new inquiries, and, so it's kind of weird. I don't know even if that answers your question, but it's just,
No, it does. The kind of the point of the question was to get to working with, they call it like a tomato timer, which is it's literally just a little timer that you can use on your computer that a lot of people used to use kind of before your phones had timers and everything on them. But the idea is to block out your week, say. And this is what I do a lot to try and help stay efficient, because you can, like, your time can bleed into other things. So it's the idea is like, so, Monday through Sunday, you're spending X time with clients, X amount of time working on your, say, posts or workout plans. And then X amount of time is like your own Julia's time. And that's like your time that you don't break. You don't ever break, at least with that theory, you don't ever break your own personal time, because you can get into a just my entire life is work, and then you'll get burnt out very quickly. Have great highs, and then you start coming down, and you'll start just trying to work even more and even more and even more, and then other things start getting worse, and just a kind of downhill. So my only suggestion on that, from what I've seen, is if you can spend your weekend or whatever time you want to block out your day, and then say you only message people at a valuable time for them. So like, understand you got people in Florida or maybe people on the West Coast, when are they getting on and off work? Maybe that's the time to message them. Or maybe, if someone messages you as a new client, maybe you just have to take it no matter what. And that just breaks the cycle. But the idea is to just set up rough blocks so you can really try and block out your day and stay on your value path, because maybe you need to spend an hour on your accounting. And maybe if that gets pushed to the side because new clients are coming in, then the accounting never gets done after so long. And now it's this huge thing that takes like 6 hours. And so just as a suggestion, the tomato timer is just a saying, but using something like that to block out your days and give yourself personal time that you don't break for anything. I mean, very rarely would you break it.
Yeah, it's been, like I said, it's definitely been, I'm still learning, definitely, but it's like, because again, like I hadn't even made that connection. I hadn't even realized like that I was like, still, I would be out, like at dinners, still working, still talking to people. And I'm like, stop it, stop. You need to compartmentalize that a little bit more. But I actually have, so I got the productivity planner. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, so it's a planner that it's actually really great. But so it gives you, I wish I brought it with me, but it gives you like your top 5 things that you need to get done. And like number 1, whatever it is, like the big task for the day, you put first. And then the thing is, like, you do not move to the next one until that one's done. But it has you like, it's, as far as like the time blocking goes, it has you like guesstimate, say maybe you think it's gonna take you an hour and a half. And it's like for every, like, I think it's every 20 or 30 minutes or whatever that you get done. It's like at a certain period of time, you take a break. I can't remember off the top of my head because it's not right in front of me. And I'm probably
It sounds familiar to kind of a tomato timer type.
Yeah. And that's what I think. I think in the beginning of the book, it talks about the tomato timer. So I think that
really?
probably, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But it's helped me a lot in terms of like especially when I have like big tasks coming up or big launches coming up, to really like make sure that I am keeping my priorities straight. Cause you have stuff every day that you have to do no matter what. And it's a matter of like the big things, the things that are actually like moving your business forward, what you put on the list. And so it's helped me. But sometimes I get really discouraged if I don't get through my whole list a day. So then that's a problem too.
Looking at a tidal wave of things you need to get done can seem a bit daunting.
Yeah, sometimes it makes it worse for me. So sometimes I only like put 2 things on that list because I'm like, otherwise I'm gonna feel like a failure today, and I don't want to feel like that. So
you're saying you had some major pieces that would move your business forward. Do you weigh those, and do you prioritize those a bit differently than other tasks?
So I always, and I don't know if I could be doing this wrong, I always put client stuff before I do anything that's going to be moving my business forward. Because for me, if I can't make the people that I'm working with happy and, keep them around or keep them sending people my way, like, there is no business. So I always have client stuff first. I always have, check-ins are going to be the priority if that's a check-in day. Responding to, inquiries is always going to be a priority. I'm responding to any sort of like messages that I'm getting from clients. Cause I have clients that talk to me every single day. I have some that just send me check-ins and, they never need to touch base, but I always make sure to get back to all of that before I'm like, ooh, let me work on this big launch I'm building, or let me, worry about my tracking sheet of X, Y, and Z. I always put client stuff first, which again, I don't know if I should, I maybe shouldn't, but that's for me, like, that is like the heart and soul of the program. So there would be no point to not make that a priority.
And just to clarify for me, the client-based portion, is that more communications driven?
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. So, they can message me at any point in time. I use a messaging app. I don't use text messaging because I'm really bad at texting, but since I have all of them in a messaging app, I make that a priority. But it's it is communication driven. Cause like I said, the beauty of online coaching, the beauty of me being able to help somebody, lose weight, get fit, get healthy from across the country. Like, I just had a girl, she's gonna be my first girl. This is gonna be the furthest away. She's in Alaska, I'm gonna be working with her, which is like kind of crazy. Our time difference.
Wild.
Yeah. But like the beauty is, again, like, I can coach them from anywhere. The downfall is like, it is very much dependent on your ability to communicate. Like, I'm here, I'm available 100% of the time, but it's a matter of they have to be willing and able to communicate with me when things happen, when, they're having a bad week, when they're stressed because of this coming up, or this happened, or how do I do this? How do I track this? What do I do that? How do I do that at the gym? They have to be willing and able to come ask me questions, because I don't know that you're struggling if you don't tell me. I do weekly check-ins with them to make sure that we're, in line and keep staying accountable in the process. But if you start to not check in with me, or you don't talk to me from check-in to check-in, and, you're struggling and you don't bring it up until, you bring it up every Monday, but then you don't talk to me when I try to talk to you throughout the week. Like, at that point, you're setting both of us up for failure. You know, I can't help you because I don't know what's going on. So the communication is very, very super, super, super important. And at least the style of coaching that I do.
No, it sounds like your number one pillar is talking and working with people. That's critical with what you do.
It really is. I mean, yeah, and I've really started to drive that home when I, get on the initial calls with everybody, because I have had clients that didn't complete their program, or maybe they did, but they didn't get everything that they wanted out of it. And a lot of the times, if that is the case, it's typically, it comes down to lack of communication. So I try to make it very clear, and I try to be very, authentic and open and real and honest, and like make them feel like they can come talk to me about anything, anytime. But some people are just more inclined to do that. Some people aren't. So, but yeah, it absolutely is like my number one pillar. My second one would be like committing to the process. Just if you're gonna do something, I'm not into like half-assing anything. If you're going to do something, go all in on it, give it your full effort, and know that I'm here to help them, pivot when we need to pivot, adapt when we need to adapt, and get you where they need to be.
So we're running up on just about an hour, so we'll wrap it up just in a minute, Julia.
Okay.
But so as a final piece, what would your message kind of be to millennial entrepreneurs that maybe trying to start a business, do what you're doing, kind of go from maybe being an employee to an employer or a founder CEO?
I kind of have like two, if that's okay. Not number one.
Perfect. Yeah.
So for one, I would say, like I said, like you just have to like get out of the headspace that like you are not enough, or that you're not worthy of doing something, or that you're not going to do it right, because you're probably not going to do it right at first. But you have to be willing to try and fail and learn, and have that, again, that awareness to just kind of be like, you know what, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to try. And if you fail, it's not like you have to, share that publicly that you fail. You can keep it to yourself. Like,
it's sometimes it's like, better not to.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of getting out of your own head, getting out of that self-doubt, and just sort of just like finally believing in yourself, because you are the one that spends the most time in your own head. If you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to? Just do it. Just get off your ass and just do it, is my thing. Just go for it. But the other thing would be invest in a mentor or coaching, or somebody that has paved the way or done something similar to what you're doing. I have personally, in the past year, I'm almost up to $20,000 on business coaching and business mentors. That's straight money out of my pocket that I've put into, somebody telling me, different ways of doing things, walking me through different processes. And the reason I did that was because, for one, I knew if I invested in myself, I was going to be invested in the process. I knew that, like, because I forked over that money, I was going to at least work hard enough to make that money back. Right.
That's right.
And I mean, I really didn't need to I did 3 different coaching programs. I worked with 3 different coaches. I probably didn't need to do all 3, but for me, it was, I learned a little bit from each one. Everybody has a different coaching style. Everyone has different, modalities of doing things. So that was why I did it. But I definitely would say you just have to just start and just go for it. And I think you do need to invest in yourself, and invest in learning, and invest in growing. And even if you don't get a good coaching experience, even if you don't learn anything, at least then like what you don't want to do. You learned one thing that you want to avoid. So those are like my 2 big things.
No, that's great. It's taking the time to either self-learn or learn from others, or the mentorship, in my opinion, is critical to anyone's success. We go through school, and maybe high school, university, if you go there or not, and that gives you a certain bar of education, but everything after is almost a free fall. I mean, working on taxes, how to acquire customers, retaining your customers, giving them a good experience, building websites, all things that you've been working on that you likely did not learn in school.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's what, like, like I said, and it's like my brain, you know, everyone's brains are going to process and work through things differently. So again, like I did 3 different coaching courses. I mean, and all 3 of them, they all covered, you know, different sales tactics. What did I do from that? I pulled from each one the sales tactics that have worked for me. I learned a little bit about, you know, maybe other things that I can add into my sales calls on each one. Like it's just a matter of you have to, you don't know everything. You don't know
Yeah.
everything. And there's always going to be somebody that is doing it better than you or doing it more efficiently than you. So you need to be willing to just fork over a little bit of money and pick everyone's brains that you can. Because even for me, at least with the coaching courses, I got a lot out of it, but I also got my network grew. You know, I met a lot of different people in these different programs that are doing things similar to me. And now it's like I have friends in this space. I have people that I can talk to that understand what I'm talking about when I am, you know, frustrated with X, Y, and Z, or they have it somebody that they can refer me to this. So it helped me grow my network too, which is very nice, especially in the online space. You know, there's not a ton, there's a lot of people doing it, but there's also not a lot of people doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's again, because it's all virtual, it's like these friendships and these relationships are all built, you know, online virtually. So that helped, as well as like kind of starting to build my network of people that speak the same language, understand, they have the same goals, there's the same drives, they're wanting the same things. um, that's definitely helped me too. I feel like I rambled there. I don't really know where I got off track, but I did. I'm sorry.
No, you're perfect. The whole point of me bringing people on is to hear what you have to say. So that's perfect.
Sorry.
But Julia, it's been awesome having you on here. You've been a great guest, and the conversation was really well. And I think if you're up for it, I'd like to have you on in the next couple months or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Look
hope the
forward-
best for your brand, and
Thank
you've done a
you.
great job with your Instagram and your coaching, it sounds like. So other than that, I hope you have a good day, Julia.
Thank you. Have a happy holiday.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.